Chapter 5 India, that is Bharat. In India, at a very early time, the spiritual and cultural unity was made complete and became the very stuff of the life of all these great surge of humanity between the Himalayas and the two seas. Sri Aurobindo. Figure 5.1. A scene from rural India about 2300 years ago. North gate of the great Sanchi Stupa. The big question: how do we define India? Second, what are the ancient names for India? There is a map in which we can see Hindu Kush mountains, different rivers and tributaries of Indus, Himalayas, Ganga river system, river Narmada, river Tapi, river Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea. Figure 5.2. A physical map of Indian subcontinent with some of its rivers. Today, the India we know is a modern nation with defined borders, defined states and a known population. However, it was very different 500 years ago, 2000 years ago or even 5000 years ago. This region of world, which we often call the Indian subcontinent, has had many different names and shifting boundaries. We can learn about India's past and evolution from many different sources. Let us explore. Think about it. Consider the physical map of Indian subcontinent at the start of the chapter. What are its natural boundaries that you can make out? In this course of history, India has been called by many names, both by its inhabitants and by visitors from outside. These names come to us from ancient texts, accounts of travelers and pilgrimage and inscriptions. Inhabitants, people who live in a particular place. How Indians named India. The Rig Veda in India's most ancient text. As we will see in chapter 7, it is several thousand years old. It gives the northwest region of the subcontinent the name Saptasindhava, that is, the land of the seven rivers. The word Sindhava comes from Sindhu, which refers to the Indus River or at times to a river in general. Figure 5.3. The northwest region of Indian subcontinent. Moving on in time, we see names for other parts of India appear in literature. The Mahabharata is one of India's most famous texts. We read about it in the theme Our Cultural Heritage and Knowledge Traditions. Interestingly, it lists many regions such as Kashmira, more or less today's Kashmir, Kurukshetra, parts of Haryana today, Vanga, parts of Bengal, Pragjyotisha, through roughly today's Assam, Kacha, today's Kutch, Kerala, more or less today's Kerala, and so on. Let's explore. Do you recognize the names of any regions given in the map? Figure 5.4 on page 79. List the ones that you have heard of. But when do we come across a name for the entire Indian subcontinent? Because ancient Indian texts are difficult to date. This is not an easy question to answer. The Mahabharata uses the term Bharatvarsh and Jambudvipa, and scholars generally agree that this long poem was written from a few centuries before Common Era onward. The first term, Bharatvarsha, clearly extends to the entire subcontinent, and the text includes the name of numerous rivers and peoples. Bharatvarsha means the country of the Bharatas. Bharata is the name that first appeared in the Rig Veda, where it refers to one of the main Vedic groups of people. In later literature, several kings named Bharata are mentioned. The second term, Jambudvipa, means the island of the fruit of the jamun tree. This is indeed a common tree native to India, also called Jambul tree, Malabar plum tree, etc. Jambudvipa came to mean the Indian subcontinent. In fact, we get a good clue from an Indian emperor. His name is Ashoka. We will meet him later. For now, we can take his date to be about 250 before Common Era. As we will see, he left us many inscriptions. In one of them, he used the same. There is a map which shows different areas where people used to stay. Some are Mahajanpadas also. We can see Gandhar, Kamboja, Keke, Medra, Vahika, Suvitra, Ambastha, Shivi, Matsya, Avanti, Mahishmati, Anarta, Shaurashtra, Panchal, Chedi, Darsana, Vidya, Kosla, Kashi, Magad, Ang, Prayojitsha, Pundra, Vanga, Shuhma, Kaling, Dakshin Koshal, Janasthana, Asmaka, Sindhya, Dravida, Pand, Chol, Kerala. Figure 5.4. Map of a few regions listed in the Mahabharata. Many of them are also mentioned in the text as kingdoms. You do not need to remember those regions, but notice how they cover the entire geography of the subcontinent. Name Jambudvipa to describe the whole of India, which at the time included what is today Bangladesh, Pakistan, as well as parts of Afghanistan. A few centuries later, Bharata became the name generally used for the Indian subcontinent. For instance, in an ancient text called the Vishnu Puran, we read, Uttaram yatra samudrayas himadris siva dakshinam varsham tad bharatam nama. The country that lies north of the ocean and south of the snowy mountains is called Bharata. The name Bharata remains in use even today. In North India, it is generally written as Bharat, while in South India, it is often Bharatam. Think about it. Have you identified the snowy mountains? Do you think this brief inscription of Bharata is correct? It is interesting to note that different parts of the country adopted a similar definition for India. For instance, a poem of ancient Tamil literature from about 2000 years ago traces a king whose name is known from Cape Kumari in the south, from the great mountain in the north, from the ocean on the east and on the west. You can now recognize the great mountains in the north. It should not be difficult to identify Cape Kumari. It looks like ancient Indians knew their geography well. Don't miss out. The Indian Constitution, which was first written in English, uses the phrase India, that is Bharat, right at the beginning. Similarly, the Hindi version of the Constitution mentioned the same as Bharat अर्थात India. Constitution, a document that spells out the basic principles and laws of a nation. The Indian Constitution, which will be studied in grade 7, came into force in 1950. Let's explore. In this reproduction of the first page of original Constitution of India in figure 5.5, page 82, can you make out the phrase of India, that is Bharat? How foreigners name India? The first foreigner to mention India were the Persians, the ancient inhabitants of Iran. In the 6th century before Common Era, Persian emperor launched a military campaign and gained control of the region of the Indus River, which, as we saw, was earlier called Sindhu. So, it is no surprise that in their earliest records and stone inscriptions, the Persians referred to India as Hind, Hindu and Hindu, which are adaptations in their language of Sindhu. Note that in ancient Persian, Hindu is purely geographical term. It does not refer here to the Hindu religion. Based on these Persian sources, the ancient Greeks named the region Indoi or Indiki. They dropped the initial letter H of Hindu because these letters did not exist in their Greek language. Sindhu, Hindu, Indoi, Indiki. The ancient Chinese also interacted with India. In several texts, they refer to India as Yintu or Yindu. These words also originally come from Sindhu in the following manner: Sindhu, Hindu, Hindu, Yindu. Then there is a picture. We try to read it. Part 1. The Union and its territory. India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. The state and the territories thereof shall be the states and their territories specified in part A, B and C of the first schedule. The territory of India shall comprise the territory of the India, the territory specified in part D of the first schedule, and such other territories as it may be acquired. Second, Parliament may be law admit into the Union or establish states on such terms and conditions as it thinks fit. Third, Parliament may by law form a new state by separation of territory from any state or by uniting two or more states or parts of states or by uniting any territory to be a part of any states. Increase the area of any state, diminish the area of any state, alter the boundaries of any state, alter the names of any state, provided that no bill for the purpose shall be introduced in the either House of Parliament except on the recommendation of the President and unless where the prepared content in the bill affects. Figure 5.5. First page of the Constitution of India. Source: reprint of the original Constitution of India, Ministry of Cultural, Government of India, 2000. Don't miss out. Xunzang, formerly spelled Xuanzang, Husan, Sang, etc. traveled from India to China, from China to India, in the 7th century Common Era. He visited many parts of India, met scholars, collected Buddhist texts, and returned to China after 17 years. There, he translated the manuscripts he took back with him from Sanskrit into Chinese. Several other Chinese scholars visited India over the centuries. Another Chinese word also derived from Sindhu was Tianzu, but these words could also be understood as a heavenly master. This reflects the respect of ancient Chinese had for India as the land of Buddha. You are probably quite familiar with the more recent term Hindustan, but you may not know that it was first used in a Persian inscription some 1800 years ago. Later on, this became the term used by most invaders of India to describe the Indian subcontinent. Let's explore. Can you complete this table of the many names of India? In Persian, in Greek, in Latin, it is given India, in Chinese, in Arabic and Persian, in English, India, French, Hindi. Before we move on, India is an ancient land which has had many names in the course of its history. The names given by the ancient inhabitants of India include Jambudvipa and Bharata. The latter became widespread in time and is the name of India in most Indian languages. Foreigner visitors to or invaded of India mostly adopted names derived from the Sindhu or Indus River. These resulted in names like Hindu, Indoi, and eventually India. So with this we have completed chapter 5. Thank you.